I think she applied eyeliner as she would have done on a person with non-hooded eyes, and this is pretty much the result. I cannot wait until downward lashes becomes a trend and everyone with curly lashes has to buy a eyelash straightener to force their lashes downward and keep them downward. Hi gang, so in this video I want to talk about a controversy that I saw on Reddit. The title of this post is Natasha Denona being tone deaf / racist. This was posted by someone called Growthen Died. Sephora, in collaboration with Natasha Denona, posted a YouTube video, I believe, called How to Match an Eyeliner Look to Your Eye Shape, featuring Natasha Denona, and it had the hashtag monolid eyeliner. Let me just say, first of all, I think the word racist here is being misused, and I think it's more to sensationalize the issue. The post contains a screenshot of a post someone made, a response by Natasha Denona, and a response by someone else, as well as a screenshot of the model with the eyeliner applied to her eyes. And it was supposed to exemplify what Natasha Denona recommends as a dramatic eyeliner look on monolid eyes and an everyday eyeliner look on monolid eyes. I don't think the word racist is an appropriate word to use in this instance. So let's look at the definition on Merriam-Webster. Having, reflecting, or fostering the belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capabilities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. And a second definition would be of, relating to, or characterized by the systemic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of another. I don't think this post and the interactions warrants this definition. I think it's a subjective take on makeup. Personally, I find the eyeliner ugly. She put eyeliner on an Asian model. Subjectively, she didn't do a really good job. So who is Natasha Denona? Natasha Denona is a professional makeup artist of 20 years, according to the website. She's from Croatia but grew up in Germany. And that is where I am currently living. Hello, hi, guten Tag. I personally own a few of her makeup palettes. Disclaimer right here, I am a very small YouTube channel. I have a very small Instagram account, which is makeup related. I don't get any PR from Natasha Denona. I don't know Natasha Denona. You could possibly argue that I am defending her in a sense because I hope to get PR from Natasha Denona in the future. But I guess you're just going to have to take my word for it that these are my honest opinions, and I'm not doing this to kiss up to any sort of makeup brand. I think my perspective as an East Asian person is valuable. So who am I? I am not a professional makeup artist. I am a makeup enthusiast. I like to apply makeup mostly on myself. I have applied makeup on friends, but I don't do it as a job. I am predominantly of Chinese descent. I am also partially of Javanese descent. I'm also culturally Peranakan. If you don't know any of those terms, you can look them up. I come from Southeast Asia. I'm from a country called Singapore, which is not in China. My ancestors mostly came from China, and some of them came from Java. Another disclaimer is that even though I am East Asian, I do not represent the whole East Asian community. These are my thoughts. Another East Asian person could very well have a very different opinion from me. So what was the issue with this particular tutorial? Sephora and Natasha Denona mislabeled the model's eyes as being monolids. This model doesn't have monolids. From the initial picture, it's difficult to tell. If you look at the screen grab of the model during application, you can see that her eyes are not entirely monolided. She does have some separation on the outer corners of her eye, which is similar to what I have on my eye. There you can see I do have double lids. My double lid fold goes all the way into the inner corner of my eye in a much more pronounced way than it does on the model's eye. So what are monolids exactly? I will just show you an example right here of a person with monolids. They have one lid. There is no sort of visible fold when the person's eyes are fully open. The second thing I think was a huge issue was a lot of people subjectively disliked this eyeliner shape on this model. And I personally also don't like the shape. I think it doesn't look nice on her. But this is a subjective dislike because makeup was created and you can do whatever you want with makeup. You can draw an extra eye on your forehead and that is entirely up to you. You can emphasize your asymmetry. Not too long ago, freckles were not a sign of beauty. But currently, freckles are a trend. People are drawing on freckles onto their face. It's not even just people with freckles enhancing their freckles, but it is people without freckles drawing on freckles to their face. People can choose to conceal the moles on their face. People can choose to draw attention to the moles on their face. I personally do that from time to time. Sometimes I emphasize that I have a mole right under my eyebrow. I think it's nice. Another thing that did not sit well with some people was the patronizing nature of Natasha Denona's response. So let me just read it out for you. There was one person who said, "Love the eyeliner, but we don't really do that." Natasha Denona responded, "Thanks. The whole point is to inspire you because you don't do it." Someone else tried to address this. Their comment got cut off from the top. It says, "And think you are an amazing makeup artist. I'm just really disappointed with this post. This is not how Asian people do their makeup. The comments about inspiring us and this is how we should do our makeup is insulting. It would be really nice to see you collaborate with some other Asian makeup artists. The problem I have with these looks is that it does not enhance the beauty of Asian features. It instead tries to mimic what works on European eyes and is not flattering. It would have been nice to see you respond with questions instead of being defensive." I personally don't think this eyeliner technique would have worked on Western eyes either. So here are some comments from the Reddit thread. It's not about how East Asians and other folk with monolids choose to do their makeup. It's this person's imperious attitude that she's inspiring us to do it in this technique because we don't, as if that's because we don't know any better and never had the idea, rather than intentionally avoiding it because it looks bad. And is also the same crap every single untalented makeup artist always tries to force on us. Ooh, you're Asian. I know, I have this genius idea. I'm going to make you look like a geisha. In all my years as a model, I encountered 2 whole entire makeup artists who did not try to do this. Some I was able to talk out of it, others I had to put up with in order to get paid. Based on the first comment in the image, I think the issue is that it tries to replicate what works for European features, which I can understand why could be an issue. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with an Asian person doing this eyeliner style at all. Why should we control and put rules for makeup? I think I'd rather see an Asian person showing this sort of style, though, rather than Natasha, because her comments are weird. Like, you don't do it? Why not? I mean, if an Asian person wants to do it, I wouldn't care. They could do whatever they want. Okay, so this other comment is, I think, most opposite to my own personal comment, and I believe this person is of East Asian descent. Why the fuck do the people still defending her act like one has to say a literal racial slur to be called racist? And even until then, I bet you will still debate away her racism too. First of all, no, the people responding to her are not lumping all Asians together, especially not if your fave white woman was the one doing it first. On her own original post, insinuating that her excellent eyeliner technique would work on Asian people when she literally used one East Asian model. People were only responding to her in the context that she herself created. If there were South Asian or Middle Eastern people who don't have eyes like that, speak up in the thread. That's a different matter. You non-Asians picking at straws to defend a white woman on your own free time after you already paid money for her shitty, overpriced makeup is another matter. Second of all, like others have said, dismissive attitude, assumed superiority, speaking over Asian people is, guess what? Still racist. You can argue until your mouth dries, but this kind of racist frame of thought would not have existed without the hard racism, and they both feed into each other to create harm. Third, as mentioned, Asians are not a monolith of ethnicity as well as opinion. You have to listen to every single one, not cherry pick whoever absolves your white fave. I'll bold every instance of racist until your eyes bleed. Suck it. So I think this person's main concern is that racism operates in a wider framework, and that Natasha Denona's comments and actions are more is born from a larger framework of racism that exists. I don't believe that Natasha Denona believes that her opinions are more valid than the people in the comments because she's a white woman. I think Natasha Denona believes that her opinion should hold more authority because she is a professional makeup artist. And the people that are commenting in the on the post, while they are East Asian, they also may not have any sort of professional makeup artist background. But I don't think her response is racially motivated. I think she just has an air of superiority about herself because she owns a big brand and because she is a award-winning makeup artist. Unfortunately, that does not translate in the tutorial that she put out there. And people have every right to say that it looks bad and that she should consider looking at different techniques. I think that she should be more open to the criticism that she's facing. And I think she should familiarize herself with facial features that are more diverse and at least ensure that the description that you're giving to a particular eye shape or a particular facial feature is accurate. This is how I would apply my everyday eyeliner look. So I'm going to take the Danessa Myricks primary palette, the waterproof cream palette. Smith Cosmetics has two different angled brushes. One is the 205 brush and one is the 203. The 203, as you can see, is a lot smaller, and for my eyes, the smaller one works much better. Because I do have a double lid, I'm going to try very hard not to overlap the double lid fold, as you can see there, because that would create more problems. That would result in the similar thickness of line as seen in the tutorial. And yeah, I prefer a thinner line so that my double lid is more visible, and also there's more space for my eye makeup to be seen and be visible. So this is my take on what is actually going on in the tutorial. The model doesn't have monolids, but she does have double lids, which are much more pronounced on the outer corner of her eye. In that sense, I would also label her eyes as hooded lids, hooded eyes. Feel free to write in the comments down below if you think my assessment of it is accurate or inaccurate. Again, like I said, I'm not a makeup artist. This is just what I know through applying makeup to myself, consuming a lot of beauty related content. My eyes aren't exactly the same as hers. I do have a double lid that is more pronounced in the front as well. And so this is another form of eyeliner technique that I learned from Alyssa Ashley. She has hooded eyes. For this part of the video, I am going to be using a paintbrush. It's not marketed as a makeup brush. This is the brush I will be using. It says Russia on it, but I bought it on Amazon. So yeah, I don't know if it's manufactured in Russia. Obviously, if you, for political reasons, do not want to support that manufacturer, it's fine. Anyway, and I'm going to be sketching out a very tiny line on my eye. So I'm creating an upwards line, and I'm just trying to follow the angle that my lower lash line creates as it goes upward, just like that. Whoops. Anyway, I'm doing this very exaggerated so you can see. So if I join the line up with my hood, you see there it goes, right? And then if I wanted to draw a straight line downwards, this is what happens. So I'm just mapping out that line. Now, if you look at what happens when I open my eye, this is what happens when I open my eye. There is actually a step that I should create when my eye is closed. So I'm just going to draw a line from there down. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to look a bit weird for a bit, but... And then fill it in. So going in with a bigger brush now because that brush is tiny. I use the tiny brush just to show you how the lines are created. And then again, tight lining pretty much from this area inward. So this is how it's looking when I open my eyes. You see that? That looks like a straight line, pretty much. I probably wouldn't leave it like this. I would probably also go in and do something to the bottom lash line just to kind of even it out. That looks a little bit more balanced, and I don't mind that as much. I matched the highest point of my top lash line to pretty much parallel to the edge of the wing, to the end of the wing. So obviously you could decide that you want your wing to be a little bit more angled like this, perhaps, or you take it out as far as I have. So again, I think this boils down to aesthetics. Do you think this is aesthetically pleasing? And I think what happened with the liner that was in the video is that when you look down like this into the mirror, you definitely see that step. Natasha Denona matched the top of the, I guess the top of the step, whatever you want to call it, to the highest point of the natural top lash line. So I think this is what happens. So let's show you what happens when I do this. So when I look down like that, it doesn't look bad. It looks like it's even and everything. But when I do this, this is what happens. You get a little bit of an S shape. And when I go like that, my eyelid entirely disappears. So right now I'm having a little bit of transference of that eyeliner, but ignore that please. For fun, let's just make this wing bigger. So I've scaled it up, and this is what happens. Once I open my eyes, we have some sort of an S thing going on. The liner is not straight. Okay, let me just powder this so it doesn't keep going all wonky. I think she applied eyeliner as she would have done on a person with non-hooded eyes, and this is pretty much the result. So if she applied it on a Caucasian person with hooded eyes, I think this would be a similar kind of end results for the tutorial. And on my eyes, at least, I think the amount of eyeliner is so overwhelming that you won't be able to see you can't see my features as much. If I had very dramatic eyeshadow that I took all the way up here, perhaps it wouldn't look as bad. But if I were to just wear the liner without any sort of eye makeup to kind of counterbalance the heaviness of the wing, I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable walking out the house looking like this. So that's just me. So other people might have a different opinion. I think Amy Winehouse had a very, very dramatic winged eyeliner look for a while, and it was all the rage for quite a long time. I don't have a lot of comments in the initial post to look through because the post was taken down and the video was also taken down from the Sephora website. Yeah. But if you look at the comment, the comment that Natasha Denona directly responds to, the person starts off with a compliment. The person says, "I love the eyeliner," but we don't really do that. I'm looking at it as Natasha Denona being a makeup artist, thinking she probably knows better because she is a professional working makeup artist, and this person, we are assuming, is not. I don't think it is unreasonable for her to think that she knows better than this person that is writing the comment, especially when the person starts off by saying that they love the eyeliner, but we don't really do that. So there is very little that you can glean from this sentence. Based on just this one interaction, I think the word racist is just not appropriate. I would say that she is being a bit patronizing. And if there were a lot more comments prior to this that was voicing a dislike for the style, saying that it doesn't, in their opinion, it doesn't suit Asian eyes, then I would say Natasha Denona was being willfully ignorant and being very dismissive and being very patronizing. But there's really not much I can go on at this point. And another thing about East Asian eyes is that most of us, our lashes are straight and they point downwards. They rarely ever curl upwards. I cannot wait until downward lashes becomes a trend and everyone with curly lashes has to buy a eyelash straightener to force their lashes downward and keep them downward. I don't think it's ever going to happen because I think this particular curly lash thing is just too prevalent and it's never going to go away. There's a whole industry dedicated to false lashes, curly lashes that go upward, that go big and fan out and go flatter, but never lashes that deliberately go downward and are straight. So this makeup look is something I would prefer to go for if I wanted to do something with black and something dramatic as well. This eyeshadow look is very much inspired by Malvina Isfan, who is a Romanian makeup artist. She posts a lot of beautiful eyeshadow looks, a lot of which are very high fashion, very editorial. I tried to go for a look that is, I guess, a little bit less dramatic. She does a lot of looks on an East Asian model with monolids. Here's the question, where do our beauty standards come from? I think that's just really, really hard to decipher. I think sometimes you can find the basis of a beauty standard if you look into history. There is one channel on Instagram that explores historical aspects of beauty standards. Her Instagram handle is minsooky. In one post, she talks about double eyelid surgery. I'm going to read out part of this post. Some people who underwent this surgery gained larger eyes as a result, but others simply got it to fix asymmetry in their eyelid folds. One patient sought it out only one of her eyelids had a prominent crease, as you saw in this video. I can attest to that. Growing up, I had very asymmetrical eyes. I haven't gotten any surgery to make one eye symmetrical to the other eye. I simply just grew out of the asymmetry, I suppose. I will put up a picture of myself as a child with one giant eye and one tiny eye. That was just that was me growing up. I also took a class with House of Glam Dolls and the makeup artist David Horn, and this is an alternative possible reason for having big eyes as a beauty ideal. We typically see beauty in younger faces, and if you look at young people, their eyes in proportion to their head are much larger in general. Yeah, so that was just one theory that I've also heard of. She also talks about the fetishization of mixed race babies, and specifically she uses an example from Korea. She goes into the history of the president of Korea wanting a pure race of Koreans and encouraging the adoption of mixed race children to people in America. Another one that she did was, which I just saw, which is really interesting, was the origins of the desirability for paler, fairer skin. Yeah, she gives some examples of how East Asian societies in Korea, in China, in Japan, favored the appearance of fairer, whiter, paler skin prior to European contact, and thus she concludes that this beauty standard does not originate from colonial contact with Europeans, but it's rooted deeper into our history than that. Growing up, I also did want to have much fairer skin than I actually have, and I did buy a foundation which was way too light for me, and I applied it, and to my horror, I got a picture back, because at that time we didn't have smartphones. You would have to take a picture with a camera and have it developed, and I got the picture back and I looked like a ghost. I looked ridiculous, okay? And I think that within our own culture, especially if you're talking about East Asian culture, there is a perpetuation of Western-centric ideals, even if some of them has their roots historically predating interactions with Europeans. For instance, you've probably seen some of these videos of Chinese women creating false nose bridges, higher nose bridges, with the use of prosthetics, again with the fairer skin and the larger eyes. But obviously there are different theories as to where the desire for larger eyes comes from, where the desire for fairer skin comes from, and it could be a mixture of different things. I think if you are of a minority group in whatever society you're living in, currently I'm living in Germany. I originally came from Singapore, in which my ethnic group was the predominant ethnic group. The majority of the people in Singapore are ethnic Chinese. However, we do also have a colonial past because the British colonized us. I think there's always this question of agency and self-autonomy over the choices that we make, and an inherited, internalized racism that has its roots in colonialism and slavery. That's all I have to say for this video. I hope that you found this somewhat entertaining and informative. Let me know in the comments below if you are of East Asian descent, what your take on this whole situation is. That's it from me, and ciao for now. I do have a suspicion that this person might come from America. The person does reference US Asian Americans in a follow-up comment. Based on what I've observed, I think minority groups in America have a more pronounced and perhaps divisive conversations about race, and this is probably also because of their history. I think as an East Asian person coming from a colonized country, I can understand some of those sentiments. Also, if you are talking specifically about the Chinese diaspora, which I am part of, we are one of the largest diasporas, and that just means that we are spread out across the globe a lot. And I think because geographically we are spread out so widely, naturally our opinions are going to be very different. The Chinese diaspora in the United States are going to have different experiences within the system, and they are going to have different conversations about race, and as compared to someone like me who has ancestors coming from China, lived my life growing up in Singapore, and now I've moved to Germany and experienced being a minority group for the first time. And if you are including other East Asians, for instance, the Koreans, the Japanese, their experiences are also going to be wildly different. And so East Asians as a community, it is just so vast. And I think this person's opinion has very much been informed by the political discourse that they've been exposed to, the historical context of America, which I assume this person is from. They may not be from there. I don't know, but yeah, that's just something to think about.